Hello students, today we'll be looking at the basic economic problem of every society. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to outline the five basic problem of every society. Now, what are the basic economic problem of every society? Number one, the basic economic problem of every society arises because of scarcity of resources. In every economic system, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce are major problems. These problems are peculiar to every system, be it socialism, capitalism, or mixed economy. In every society, it is the way society organizes itself to solve this fundamental economic problem that determine the type of economic system practiced. Now, let's take a look at each of these basic economic problems of society. The first one, that is what goods and services to produce and in what quantity. What goods and services to produce and in what quantity. Firm household and government are faced with problem of deciding on type of goods and services to produce for the society. In relation to this, a vital question has to be answered. What determines the allocation of productive resources in an economy? The type of goods and services which will be produced depend, among other things, on the needs of the society. Another major problem of any society is the problem of how to produce. How to produce. When we talk about how to produce, that talks about the method of production. The method of production, is it going to be a capital intensive method of production or labor intensive method of production? The quantity that will be produced depends on the quantity of each kinds of goods and services required by the society. It will also depend on the availability of the productive resources as well as the efficiency of the productive inputs. Those goods and services which are in high demand will be produced in larger quantity provided there are sufficient resources to do so. Talking about how to produce, like I've said, it explains the method of production. Then the third one, that is the problem of for whom to produce. For whom to produce. This problem relates to the problem of distribution. The producer and the government have to think of the section of society which are their product effort should be geared towards. Additionally, how are the available goods and services to be allocated among various members of the society? In other words, what proportion of the national product should go to the various individuals and groups in the society? Questions relating to for whom to produce and the allocation of resources among the various members of the society are dealt with in the theory of distribution. The problem of distribution also deals with allocation of available resources among various factors of production. In addition, it deals with allocation of factor, reward, rent, and profit. In for whom to produce, once again, it relates to which set of or group of people and what is to be produced meant for. Another problem of every society is the efficient use of resources. Efficient use of resources. Another major problem of any society is how to use resources efficiently. As we all know that our resources are so few, our needs are numerous, then we need to see how those resources are managed efficiently and to ensure that our needs are met. Society has to ask the question of how efficiently are available resources being used. In other words, is there any efficient allocation of productive resources to make production efficient? Furthermore, are the available uh, the available produced resources being used to full capacity, and are there some which are not being fully used? Every society has to determine whether the available products are being efficiently allocated among consumers to maximize societal welfare. Production is inefficient if a reallocation of productive resources will result in production of at least one or more units without a corresponding increase in production of other goods. If resources are efficiently used, then it will be possible to increase the production of all goods and make everyone in the society better off. Each society tries to allocate resources as efficiently as possible. The question of the efficiency of production and the efficient allocation of resources come under welfare economics. Another problem of every society is the problem of how to facilitate future growth. How to facilitate future growth. Talking about how to facilitate future growth, that is talking about is relating to economic development. Also, decision has to be taken on how and what to do to facilitate the future growth of any country. Also, decision has to be taken on ensuring all-round development in an economy. Each society should decide at what rate it will use up its productive resources to ensure future growth. Then, they have to take decision on how to use the current outputs to influence production possibility in the future. It should be noted that the goal of every society is to ensure steady economic growth. Let's quickly look at factors that determines what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce it. Factors that determines what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce it. The first factor we'll be looking at here is the type of economic system. Type of economic system. There are three major economic systems, namely capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy. The system operating in a country will determine what and for whom to produce in a capitalist economy. Goods are produced according to dictates of the forces of demand and supply. This is based on the general needs of the people. Another factors that determine what to produce and how to produce it and for whom to produce is the demand level. Demand level. What to produce and in what quantity is based on quantity demanded by the consumer. Take for instance, increase in demand for a particular goods will encourage more to be produced. Where the demand is low, the producer will produce less. Another point we have under that is level of income. Level of income. The level of income in determining what to produce, the level of income in determining what to produce, and what quantity the disposable income of the people should be considered. Therefore, increase in demand ultimately have a positive impact on production. In other words, it increases production. Another factor that determines what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce is the cost of production. Cost of production. In the cost of production, this is the total cost of money incurred to produce a particular product. The cost of production will be determined through the quantity of goods to produce. If the manufacturer has to pay more for his factors of production, he will have to review his productive activity. This might ultimately lead to reduction in production of a particular product. Another point we'll be considering, that is method of production. In the method of production, this has to do with techniques to be used in the production of goods and services. There are various methods of production. A firm can decide whether to use capital or labor-intensive method. Labor-intensive method is appropriate where labor is cheap, and capital-intensive where the capital is also cheap. Another point to be looking at is technological development. Technological development. In technological development, that has to do with new innovation in technology that can bring about efficiency in production. New use of technology, new innovation, new ideas, they reduce the cost per unit of production and also ensure mass production of goods. In other words, it increases productivity. Another point is the availability of resources. The quantity of resources available will determine what to produce, in what quantity. In a situation where there are abundant resources, more goods will be produced. Then another point is taste, needs, and preference of consumer. This is very paramount. It determines what to produce and how to produce it. In taking decision on what to produce and what quantity, the taste, needs, and preference of the consumer should be considered. The focus of any organization is to determine what to produce to meet the needs and wants of the consumer. Another point we have there, that is the size of population. The size of population and its structure will determine the quantity of what to produce. When population increases, there will be increase in demand for goods, and this will lead to increase in quantity of goods produced. Now that we have been able to look at the basic economic problem of every society, we can see that in summary, the major problem of every society is the problem of what to produce, how to produce, and efficient utilization of resources with economic growth. Thank you. It's time to ask your question. You can ask your question now.